Hello friends, despite several consistent efforts, aspirants fail in the prelim stage. Why? I am Guna Mathivanan. In this video, I will be giving you the answer for the above question by doing a 5-year UPSC prelims trend analysis. So, we at officers as a team, we analyzed previous 5 years UPSC question paper and we observed some facts. Based on that, we also arrived at some conclusions. So, in this video, I will take you through all the analysis what we have made and I will also tell you the conclusions what we have arrived at, right. So, we have divided the questions under two headings, one is dynamic and another one is static. The moment when I say static, that means something which will not change. So, what are all the subjects which we can bring under static? So, we can bring history, we can bring geography, we can bring Indian polity, we can bring the concepts of economics as well as environment. The moment when I say dynamic, students immediately say that it is current affairs, but in current affairs, what are all the areas which we have to study? What are all the areas which UPSC focuses, which we try to decode? So, under dynamic, we understood that UPSC is largely asking questions from these 11 topics. One, schemes, initiatives, environmental initiatives, organization, flora and fauna, agriculture based questions, economics, science and technology based, index, protocols, conventions, map as well as miscellaneous. So, let me explain about each topic which I have mentioned here, and we will also explain the analysis what we have made. Under these schemes, in the last 5 years, minimum there was in 19 there was no question, maximum they have are 6 questions. By looking at this trend, do not think that UPSC is not focusing on schemes. UPSC has no trend particularly, they follow whatever kind of trend they want. Sometimes they go for a sinusoidal trend. So, maybe in 2020 we can expect a good number of questions too. But my point is not about the trend, it is about the area which UPSC focuses. So, for UPSC, schemes is very important. Let us see what are all the schemes which UPSC asked in the last 5 years. So, these are the schemes, say for example, Jan Dhan Yojana, Stand Up India scheme, Atal Pension Yojana, PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana, these are the schemes which UPSC asked in the last 5 years, right. Just pause the video and make a note of these schemes. It will be very helpful because UPSC is repeating the questions in many years, and based on the previous year's questions content also we can definitely solve the future questions which is going to be asked in the UPSC, right. A person who solves at least last 10 years UPSC prelims question paper can be definitely be a position to answer 5 to 6 questions comfortably in the 2020 prelims, right. The next one is government initiatives. So, when I say scheme or yojana, you are able to understand. So, when I say government initiative, what is that? So, anything which government comes up with for either to improve the efficiency of governance or to improve the delivery of services, any initiative, anything new which government initiates, I am bringing it under government initiatives. Here the minimum number of questions asked is 1, maximum number of questions asked is almost 7. In schemes, the maximum number of questions asked is 6, here it is 7. Let us assume the average number of questions from schemes is 3. Also, we will assume the average number of questions from initiatives is again 3. We can expect some 3 questions in 2020, right. So, according to me, even Aadhaar is an initiative, Digital India program is an initiative, Mission Indra Dhanush is an initiative, National Nutrition Mission is an initiative, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is also an initiative. These are particularly government initiatives, either government, largely government initiates on its own, or sometimes in collaboration with civil society or other NGO or any private organization, government comes up with some initiatives, or at times in association with international institutions, say for example, World Bank in association with Niti Aayog, they come up with some initiative. But the point here is these are initiatives where government plays a crucial role. From that initiatives alone, we can expect around 3 questions on average in the coming exam. These are the initiatives which they have asked in the last 5 years. right. So, we can pass and we can make a note of these topics, right. So, what we have observed from the schemes and initiatives, UPSC largely focuses on these areas. UPSC largely focuses on, see, bank related, insurance, pension, skill development, entrepreneurship, health, nutrition, education, technology and governance, agriculture, infrastructure, manufacturing, particularly MSME, energy related. We come across several news articles in Hindu or Indian Express, whatever news daily you follow. In that article, the article may not be centering around these schemes or initiatives. The article may be centering around some other topic, but the author of the article may be bringing these schemes or initiatives to support his point or to oppose his point in the article. So, what we have to do? We have to take these initiatives, these schemes from the news article, from the editorial, and we have to do a background research in the internet, and we have to have some notes. UPSC focuses on these areas largely. I am not saying that UPSC is going to ask only from these related areas. I am saying you collect all the schemes which comes in newspaper, all the government initiatives which comes in the newspaper, and you prioritize, you place all these articles under these headings. There can be other headings also, but you give some extra priority to these topics, right. The next one is environmental initiatives. You may feel the previous slide I was explaining about initiatives, government initiatives, and now I am coming up with something called as environmental initiatives. So, why do not I merge these two? The reason is the previous one was purely government initiatives, and this one I am talking about environmental initiatives in particular, which may be an initiative of government or maybe a private organization or maybe an initiative of an international institution. This surrounds only around the environment based affairs, right. So, minimum number of questions asked is 2, maximum is 9. So, we can comfortably expect 3 to 4 questions from these environment based initiatives, right. So, these are the topics which was asked in the last 5 years, starting from Biocarbon Fund Initiative, Nagoya Protocol, Kyoto Protocol, Montreal Protocol, Smart Agriculture, right. For me, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, I will bring it under environmental initiative. The ultimate objective of this Bureau of Energy Efficiency is to improve the energy use efficiency, so that energy saved is energy generated. So, we can slightly reduce the amount of energy which we produce. We largely depend on thermal sources, and thermal sources results in large amount of carbon emission. So, when we are able to reduce the dependence on these thermal sources by conserving energy, then ultimately we can reduce the carbon emission and we can protect our environment. We can also reverse our climate change. So, according to us, even Bureau of Energy Efficiency is an initiative of the government, right, which is related directly to environment, right. So, what we have observed from these initiatives, by looking into the topics, we understood that UPSC largely focuses on the conservation of biodiversity, particularly forest related conservation, climate change, pollution, emission, climate change and agriculture. This is going to be a deadly combination in the coming 2020 prelims. Climate change and agriculture initiatives, schemes related to climate change and agriculture is going to become very important. Please make a note. And sustainable development, anything related to sustainable development is very important, right. The next one is regarding the organization or body in general. So, any international organization, be it international or regional, or particularly environmental based organizations or any international declarations are important from UPSC point of view, right. So, minimum number of questions asked is 2 and maximum number of questions asked is 10. So, on an average we can expect at least 4 to 5 questions, we can expect 4 to 5 questions from the organization in 2020 prelims, right. So, what does this green refer to? This green refer to environment. So, out of 10 questions asked, 2 questions are coming from environment based organization, right. We will look into the topics asked. So, these are the topics which was asked in the last 5 years under this organization category, starting from Amnesty International, ASEAN, BirdLife International, right, National Investment Infrastructure Fund, AIIB, all right. So, make a note of these topics. Now, let us move on to the observations. So, what we have observed. So, we found that, or we are able to understand that any organization where India is a member, Asia specific organization, be it Asia specific, South Asia, Southeast Asia, particularly economy trade based organizations. See, we saw many questions like TPP, RCEP, WTO, World Bank, IMF, AIIB, right, energy related, environment related. It is UPSC, from these areas UPSC largely, it focuses, and organization based on these areas are largely coming in the UPSC exams, prelims exams in the last 5 years. We can also expect a good number of questions from these areas in the 2020 prelims too, right. Next is flora fauna related. So, we all know UPSC asks species based questions every year. So, minimum they are asking 2 questions, maximum they have asked 4 questions. We can comfortably expect minimum 2 questions, minimum 2 we can expect, right. In this too, I can tell you with confidence, at least one question you can answer very easily by simply following the current affairs. I have seen many people getting a big book for environment, and they try to memorize all the species information given in the books. They try to memorize everything, right. So, that I would say is not that much required. You need not memorize all the species which is given in any credible reference and credible textbooks available in the market, right. So, those are not so important for UPSC, but however, the species which comes in news, right. So, information related to those species you have to select information related to those species. Let us say for example, there is a species Amer falcon comes in news. So, you have to search about that particular species, you have to see in which category it falls under, and you have to make some notes, right. So, these were the areas questions asked in the UPSC. Let us say in dugong mammal, national aquatic animal, karai camel, banana species, M stripes, Prosopis julifera, C. my Karuvelambaram, Prosopis julifera, right, Asiatic lion. See, let me explain this Asiatic lion, right. So, Asiatic lion, so why it is in news, why Asiatic lion was in news. I hope you would have heard about something called as canine distemper virus, right. This canine distemper virus, it attacks the dogs, the lions in the Gir forest, right. So, in the Gir forest, the population of lion is increasing day by day. So, there is a fight for resources, right. So, the lions in search of food, they go to the neighboring villages and they hunt the dogs. These dogs are already infected by canine distemper virus, right. So, when the lion hunts the dogs, the lion is also getting infected, right, because of which there is a frequent deaths of lions in the Gir forest is witnessed, right. So, this Gir forest is the abode of Asiatic lions. Asiatic lions is found only in the Gir forest. So, this was in news, right. You will not find any news which directly talks about one particular species, right. So, in this news article you are finding information about Asiatic lion, you are able to know about canine distemper virus, you are able to know about the Gir forest. Make notes on all these things and you can expect some question from these areas. Now, recently also Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, which is in Rajasthan, which was in news. Why? The dogs around the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, we found that around 80% of the dogs are infected by CDV. So, we have to take immediate steps to protect our big cats before getting infected by the canine distemper virus. So, about CDV also we can expect a question in the coming exam, right. So, what I am trying to convey is these species may be directly discussed in the news article, or it may be indirectly it will be appearing in the news article. So, when we come across such species, we have to highlight it and we have to make a notes, we have to do a small background research from which we can expect good number of questions, right. Agriculture related, somehow I feel we are not giving the required respect to be given to the agriculture related topics. 50% of Indian population, they are depending on agriculture. In that case, definitely we can expect a good number of questions from agriculture in the UPSC prelims or mains or in the interview as well, right. So, agriculture related schemes we saw, initiatives we saw, based organization also we saw previously. So, what I am bringing here, apart from these initiatives or schemes or organization, there are some other agri topics are asked, which I want to highlight. So, here in 2016 minimum number of questions is 2, maximum number of questions is 6. Right. So, we can comfortably expect around 4 questions which are directly connected with agriculture. Let us see what are all the questions which they have asked, right, like seed village concept, about the overuse of fertilizers, about FRP, MSP, about neem coated urea, about national agriculture market, about organic farming, about smart agriculture. So, these are having a direct relation with the agriculture, right. So, the next one which we have analyzed is the economy related current affairs. So, here minimum they have asked 4 questions. One thing we are able to observe consistently, they are asking more than 4 questions in all these years, right. So, minimum number of questions asked is 4 and maximum number of questions asked is 8. So, we can comfortably expect a minimum of 6 questions in 2020 prelims. So, let us see what are all the topics which they have asked under this economics topics in the last 5 years. So, Basel III, real GDP, 14th Finance Commission, core banking solution, BEPS, bitcoins, right, GBS, GMS, MPC, UPA, NPCA, RuPay card, data diktat. Someone who is reading Hindu regularly can very comfortably answer all these 4 to 6 questions which will be asked under this economics topics. UPSC, you knows clearly that economics is a technical area and there is a separate service to recruit the economists, Indian Economics and Statistics Service, right. So, and in the civil services exam, UPSC will not be asking technical questions. So, if you are having a basic awareness, let us say for example, base erosion profit shifting, someone who knows that BEPS is connected with tax avoidance, that much information is sufficient to answer the question under BEPS asked in the UPSC. Just go through the 2016 prelims question paper and check for the BEPS question, right. There will be 4 options. Among the 4, just only one option was related to tax based statement. Right. Someone who is able to give a connection between the BEPS and tax, he would have made that question very easily correct, right. So, Hindu reading will be sufficient to answer these questions, particularly asking from economics, for which you need not purchase any Business Standard or Economic Times, you need not do any specialized study on economics also. A general awareness on what is happening around us will be sufficient to mark these questions, right. So, what is our analysis? We found that a large number of questions is coming from bank related economic current affairs. For example, we saw questions from Basel III, core banking, Mudra, payment bank, NPCA, UPA, monetary policy committee, MDR, BIM, ICA, BBB, service area approach, data diktat. Even we can bring this NPA under this bank, right. So, we have to focus more on bank related current affairs, tax related current affairs, NPA of course, agriculture related, and also the terms. Sometimes we come across some new economic terms which the government or in the economic survey or in the budget it will be used, and those terms are becoming very important, right. The next one is science and technology. In 2019 alone, we got around 17 questions from science and technology, right. Every year, see, minimum we can 5 questions, maximum 17. We can comfortably expect 8 to 9 questions in 2020 prelims from science and technology. So, the average will be around 8 to 9 questions, right. People think that it is the Sunday part of Hindu is the only part which deals with science and technology. No, every day you get science based information in Hindu, right. Just we have to keep our eyes open and we have to find what kind of topics which UPSC is asking from science and technology, and we have to find similar topics in the Hindu, right, and we have to make a separate notes. Let us see what topics which they have asked in UPSC in the last 5 years, right. Just pause the video and go through these topics, right. So, what we understood, so what we analyzed, we found that UPSC is largely focusing on latest technology and its applications, right. Any virus and bacteria related news becomes very important, medicine, drug related news, biotechnology. Of late we are able to find a good number of questions being asked from biotechnology, then space related, pollution, right, and pollution control technologies, etc., nuclear, defense, energy, particularly solar and electric vehicles. We can expect a good number of questions from electric vehicles and related lithium ion battery, right. On those areas we can expect questions from 2020 prelims, right. Cyber related, technology used in governance, right. From these areas we can expect a good number of questions from science and technology. The next one is index, report, protocols and conventions. So, whenever you come across the suffix index, report, say global hunger index, UN development report, Kyoto Nagoya protocol, ILO conventions, these kind of terms when you come across in news, right, I again say you may not get a direct question on this index, I mean direct content article on this index. We may get, or sometimes in the editorial or any other article, the author may be bringing these index or the protocols or conventions, right, to support his argument. So, in that article we have to take that particular index protocol, we have to do a background research and we have to make notes, right, so that it become easier for us to answer in the actual prelims examination. So, the number of questions, minimum they have asked 1 question, maximum they are asking 6 questions, we can comfortably expect 3 questions from these areas in 2020, we can expect an average of 3 questions, right. So, these are the index, report, protocol, convention based questions asked earlier, right. So, global hunger index has been asked, even recently it was in news, we got 102nd rank in global hunger index, and there was a question on global hunger index previously also, right. So, what we understood, UPSC is focusing on index, report, protocol, convention, which comes under economic prospects, environment, social indicators, right, or anything related to energy becomes very important. The next topic is regarding maps and locations, right. So, minimum number of questions asked is 4, maximum is 10. So, we can comfortably expect around 5 to 6 questions in 2020 prelims, right. So, from where UPSC focuses on this map location, right. So, we have divided the map location based questions under 2 headings, one is international and another one is regional. So, in the international, see, we come across several groupings, like say members of Trans-Pacific Partnership, RCEP. When you come across, just go through the members location in the atlas, right. So, whenever come across a country which shares borders with a landlocked country, or if it shares borders with any seas, or it shares borders with any strategic location, then that becomes important, that becomes a favorite area for UPSC, right. Places in news. I remember a question which was asked in 2018 prelims on Catalonia and Spain. So, Catalonia is a region in Spain, they were protesting, they want to get separated, because Catalonia was feeling that they are contributing a lot for the Spain's GDP, but in return they are not able to get much benefits. So, this was in news and we found a question on Catalonia and Spain. Similarly, Albania and Adriatic Sea. See, this Greece and Macedonia was in news because of the name conflict which they were having, but the question was not on Greece and Albania, I mean Greece and Macedonia. Albania was a neighboring country and Adriatic Sea was the neighboring sea. So, UPSC asked a question on connecting these 2 regions. So, whenever you come across any place, do not just look into that particular place, you also look into the neighboring places given in the atlas. Community in news, let us say in the match the following type, UPSC used to ask, in the A side they will be giving the names of communities, for example Kurd, Madeshi, Rohingyas. In the B side they will be giving you the countries where these communities are located, for example Nepal, Myanmar, right. So, we have to either choose the rightly matched pair, or we have to do the match the following kind. And countries sharing seas, say Caspian Sea is shared by which among the below countries, Aral Sea, Ural Sea is, Ural Lake is shared by which among the countries, Baikal Lake is shared by which among the countries. Like that we can expect questions, or any geographical phenomena, let us say there was an earthquake in some place, tsunami in some place, that region also we have to make a note. Coming to regional, unique features, right, places with unique features, for example, Kodaikanal Artificial Lake, Kaibul Lamjo National Park, it is the world's only floating national park in Manipur, and Root Bridge in Meghalaya. So, these kind of questions can be asked. Rivers, for any reason it is in news, maybe river linking project or interstate river water dispute, or any multi-purpose project on a particular river, or any treaty, river sharing treaty with respect to rivers, that are very important. We can expect a good number of questions from river based current affairs. Then this National Park, Wildlife Sanctuary, Tiger Reserve, we have to particularly focus on northeast. So, how these questions will be asked? These questions will be asked based on the geographical features. They will be giving you a national park. In the option, they will be giving you some climatic conditions or the vegetation kind or any other geographical features, and they will ask you to match this particular national park falls under which among the below climatic condition or below vegetation. Or sometimes they will give you the climatic condition or the vegetation kind or any geographical feature, and they will be giving you 4 national parks, and you have to find which national park suits the above description, right. These kind of questions can be asked. So, here we need a stronger geographical basics, because geography and these national park, wildlife sanctuary, tiger reserves, their location will be connected, right. So, without the geography basic, it will become difficult for you to answer these regional map questions, right. The next one is the acts, rules, agreements, regulations, GI, prices, etc. So, UPSC will focus on act, it will not focus on bills for prelims. Maybe in mains they may ask about your opinion on a particular bill, but it is not the case with respect to prelims. Any rules, agreements, regulations, geographical indicators. In 2015 there was a question on Indira Gandhi Peace Prize, but after that there were no much questions on prize related information, right. So, let us say now we have Nobel Prizes. You need not memorize the people's name who got the Nobel Prize, but you have to know on what area they have worked. From that area we can expect some questions in preliminary. So, what does this etc. mean? So, UPSC gives the etc. and we are not able to decode what is that etc. So, here etc. refers to what? Some miscellaneous questions which cannot be placed in the previous 10 headings, which I am bringing it under a heading broadly called as miscellaneous, right. So, minimum number of questions asked is around 3 questions they ask, minimum, maximum they have asked around 13 questions. We can comfortably expect around 8 to 9 questions from the miscellaneous part, and these 8 questions will have questions from acts, particularly right based acts, right, rules, agreements, regulations, GI based, intellectual property based, right, those questions can be expected under this category, right. So, now starting from the schemes, government initiatives, environmental initiatives, right. So, we came through several topics, right, organizations, economic, agriculture, index, protocol, conventions, right, map based, or these miscellaneous areas. I was telling some average number. When you add all these average number, it will be coming around 50 plus questions. That means, in the last 5 years in this dynamic area we are getting around 50 plus questions, right. So, when we look into the reality, in 2019 they have asked, around 59 questions from this dynamic area. In 16 they have asked 75 questions from this dynamic area, right. It might be shocking, but that is the reality, But what happens, I come across several analysis in the internet. So, what generally happens from this dynamic questions, so generally people will remove the agriculture part, will remove the environment part, will be removing the economy part, will be removing the regional map part. This agri will be placed under conventional geography. The environment will be placed under conventional, the static environment. This dynamic economy will be placed under static economy. Similar the case of this regional map will be placed under the static geography, right. So, what happens when I remove these areas, then the dynamic appears as 25 or 30, right. So, what generally the freshers believe by seeing these kind of analysis, when there are 30 questions under dynamic and 70 questions under static, the freshers, particularly the people who are preparing for targeting prelims, what they do, students largely focus on the static area. It is obvious when 70% of questions are coming from static, then they tend to prepare more on the static subjects like polity, history, geography, economy, environment. But we have to remember, not every question from this static is actually static. From the 70, majority are coming in the dynamic part. So, when we remove the agriculture, the environment, the economy from the dynamic, and if we add it with the static, then people will commit mistakes. They generally commit mistakes because they just focus on the 4-5 textbooks, but the 4-5 textbooks will not give you answers for the dynamic questions asked even under the static heading, right. So, let me come up with a small calculation to explain where the students are committing mistakes, or how they fail even despite of several consistent efforts. Let us say for example, a student looking into 30-70 ratio of dynamic and static, assume they are putting more effort on the static area, right, and towards the end they do few compilations and they try to manage, they assume that they can manage this dynamic area, but in reality we saw more than 50% of questions are coming from dynamic only, right. So, let us assume in reality 50 questions are from static, 50 questions are from dynamic area. Assume students who are prepared for static, very well, they will be confidently attending some around 40 questions out of the 50 static area. So, in this dynamic, out of this 50 dynamic questions, right, so they may be, because they have not given more contribution to dynamic in their preparation, in this 50 assume they are able to attend 25 questions out of 50, right. So, they have attended 40 in the static, 25 in the dynamic. So, overall they have attended 65 questions out of 100, but this is not sufficient, they have to attend at least 80-85 questions. So, what happens, the students will go for some educated guess and they try to attend another 20 questions. So, overall the student would have attended 85 questions out of 100, but let us see now how many questions they have made correct. Approximately assume out of the 40 static they have attended, assume they have made 35 correct. Out of 25 current affairs they have attended, assume they have made 15 correct. Out of 20 educated guess they have made, assume they have made 10 correct. That means 35 correct, 10 correct, and here 15 is correct. So, 35 plus 10 it is 45, 45 plus 15. So, they have made 60 questions correct and finally 25 questions wrong. A person who is able to make 60 questions correct out of 100 has really done a good preparation for his prelims. However, because of these 25 wrong questions, he ended up getting a score, a final score of around 102. Right. So, 25 questions divided by 3, that will be the negative markings, approximately 8 point, some will be 8.33 approximately will be subtracted from the 60 correct questions. So, we will be getting around 101 point something, I am just rounding off to 102. So, 102 would be the actual score which you would have got in the prelims, but this 102 is not sufficient to clear the prelims. The cutoff will be above 105 in general. In 2016, the cutoff was 116. So, why? This is the reason why people fail often despite of crossing this triple digit mark. I find many students, they fail by getting a mark between 90 to 100. These students have done real hard work, but despite they fail because they have failed to recognize the importance of dynamic area. They fail to recognize the increasing number of questions from dynamic area. Through this analysis, we thought we should highlight what are all the dynamic areas which UPSC focuses, so that UPSC aspirants can reorient their preparation. I am not saying you have to give more weightage to current affairs, but you have to give equal weightage to current affairs, like how you give equal weightage to static area. Even in current affairs, you have to have a proper focus what to study and what not to study. From now, when you prepare the current affairs, either by doing some materials, or either by doing newspaper dailies, or either by listening to some YouTube initiatives, whatever may be the source which you follow, but you pick up the topic which UPSC focuses based on the analysis which we have given. You place those topics under these 11 headings and do multiple revisions. Comfortably you can sail through this prelims by doing those dynamic areas, right. Let me also do a small analysis. Let me also show you a small analysis which we have done for static area too, right. In static, we are able to witness an increasing trend in the number of environment questions, right. So, here I have given the number of environment questions which was asked in the last 5 years. Here the green color represents the agriculture question asked in the environment. See, agriculture question is asked in schemes, it is asked in the initiatives, in the organizations, specific agriculture questions. Now, in environment, the static area also they are asking agriculture questions, right. Just pass the slide and you can make a note of these topics. And geography, though it appears there is a declining trend, we can also expect an increase in question in 2020. We cannot predict UPSC. See friends, do not follow the trend. I am showing you some graphs just to make you aware where the UPSC is focusing, right. Our idea is not to identify the trend of UPSC, which no one can predict, right. So, do not think there is a declining trend of UPSC. However, if I add the agriculture based topics, if I add the map based topics, then the geography looks more bigger, right. So, these are the questions which was asked previously. So, these red colored topics are river topics which I have added in the river based heading itself, just I have highlighted here. Coming to science and technology, the very conventional science questions, hardly they ask one question, right. The topics are also very simple, which is not requiring any NCERT study, right. You need not study the bio, physics, chemistry, NCERT particularly to answer these kind of questions. They hardly ask one question. When it comes to economics, I have made a chapter based analysis. So, in public finance, there is a good number of questions which we can expect every year. See, public finance is always in news. Taxation related affairs is always in news. So, it has a reflection in the dynamic also. We saw tax based questions, tax based organizations, right, is asked in the dynamic part also, and also in static we are able to expect a good number of questions from public finance, tax related static areas, right. Economics, in foreign trade, see there was no much news on currency crisis in the years of 16-17, but in 18 we witnessed there was a sliding down of rupee. So, many news articles was reflecting on the rupee falling its fall of value of rupee against the dollar. RBI was coming up with several initiatives, government was also trying hard to reverse the condition. So, a good number of questions was asked in 2019 purely based on the current events. That means, from the dynamic, a person who does current affairs will also get a clue to find out what kind of questions which he can expect from static area too, right. With respect to national income, there was no big news about national income. One question asked in 15 and 18, but now there is an economic slowdown. There is many news articles talking about national income, growth rate, GDP. So, we can expect a question on 2020. With respect to banking, every time there is going to be a news on banking about RBI, about NPA, about Monetary Policy Committee, about Basel norm, something or other way it is going to come in news. So, every year we saw a good number of questions from banking, right. So, let us look into the topics asked. See, these red colored topics signifies that these are the topics which has a relevance in current affairs also, right. So, these are the topics which came in news, and the static information related to that topic was asked under the static economics. Inflation, there was no big hype or news on inflation in the recent years. There was no question in the static also, right. 11th NCERT, we generally do not appreciate the NCERT, someone who is doing all the NCERTs with Hindu can easily sail through this exam. UPSC never asked us to bank on a particular kind of books. UPSC says a person with no specialized study, with a general awareness can easily tackle this exam, is what UPSC also says. UPSC never asked to study big books, right. A person who is having a good control on the NCERTs, along with that he does Hindu, he does the news regularly, can comfortably sail through this prelims. This 11th NCERT, we can expect 1 or 2 questions from 11th NCERT. I do not think that for 2 questions this is required to do the 11th NCERT. I will tell you for mains, for writing mains answers, this 11th NCERT content will be really of use, right. The next one, overall. So, overall from economics we can expect around 9 to 10 questions from the static area, and from the dynamic area we can expect around 6 to 7 questions. So, economic put together, static and dynamic put together, we can expect around 15-16 questions, right, in 2020 prelims, or in general every year if you take the average you will find around 15-16 questions of economics, static plus dynamic, right. Polity, I will just quickly I will change the slides. Just see how the graphs are moving towards left and right. Historical background, every year we can expect 1 question, polity schedules, preamble, features of the constitution, fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties, state executive, union executive, parliament, assembly, state assembly, union judiciary, state judiciary, local government, emergency provisions, center-state relations, constitutional bodies, and committees, amendments and commission. Here what you are able to understand, you cannot predict what UPSC will ask from polity. They will ask, 1 year they may focus on fundamental rights, next year they may focus on DPSP, next year they may focus on duties, they may focus on preamble, they may focus on executive in one time, they can focus on legislature in the next time, alright. So, give very good reading, multiple readings for the polity, right, do as many revisions as possible. They can ask from any corner of the polity, right. However, if you do a smart work, you can also find that there is a connection between the current events as well as the static polity questions, right. So, polity in 17 alone there were 23 questions asked in polity. So, on an average we can definitely expect around 12 to 14 questions from polity. History, I would say from modern we get around 8 to 9 questions. Ancient, medieval and art and culture put together we can expect 9 questions put together. That means, from modern history I am saying around 8 to 9 questions. From the remaining art and culture, ancient as well as medieval put together we can expect around 9 questions, right. So, on the whole from the history we can expect around 16 to 17 questions every year, right. Do not think that this time there was a huge number of questions from medieval. So, UPSC is changing the trend. No, when UPSC asks more questions from medieval, see they reduce the number of questions from the art and culture. When they ask more number of questions from art and culture, they have reduced the questions from medieval. Medieval they have asked no question. So, within the 9 questions there can be a change in trend, but however, from art, ancient, medieval we can definitely expect around 8 to 9 questions, right. So, 2019 around 59 questions came from dynamic and 41 question came from static area. It is not state, I am sorry, it is static, right, from static area. So, observation. So, from where to study, how to study, right, to answer these kind of questions. Simply, if someone is having a good hold of NCERTs, for polity alone we need a reference material, maybe the OAA reference material, it is really very good, or you can go for some other material, maybe Lakshmikant or some other, whatever you are comfortable, right, AD Boss or anything is fine. Then you must have a good control over Hindu and PAB particularly, right. Either you can follow directly the Hindu and PAB, or you can follow some compilations. Even we are coming up with Officers Pulse, where we give the compilation of Hindu, PAB, All India Radio, RSTV debates. It is freely available in the website. You can simply go and download. It is a weekly compilation of Hindu, PAB, All India Radio RST debates, right. With this, I am very sure a person can comfortably cross the prelims, can comfortably get more than 120 marks as cutoff in the preliminary exams, right. So, I am coming up with a current affairs class, a current affairs course, right, which will be starting from November 10th, 2019. I will be giving you around 25 plus sessions. Along with that, I will be giving you some video lectures, right. There will be exclusive compilations will be given. From these, I was mentioning about the 11 headings under dynamic, right, and those headings I will be giving you compilations. There will be 5 current affairs tests. It is available in both online and offline mode. The fees will be 6,500 rupees including GST, right. For more information, you can call on to the office, right. The next one is the test series. So, based on the trend, we have conceptualized a test series. We will be having 3 phases. In the phase 1, we will be focusing only on the NCERTs, particularly between 6th to 10th standard. Along with these 6th to 10th standard, in the 8 NCERT tests, which we refer to warm up tests, we will be asking you questions from MAP. We will be asking you questions from national parks and organizations. A week before the test, we will be giving you what are all the map areas which you have to focus. You need not worry about it, right. The phase 2 will be section wise test, where we will be focusing equally on both static and dynamic areas, and phase 3 will be 6 full mock tests, right. So, the test will be starting from November 22nd, 2019. The test discussions will be made by the respective faculty members who were the former, most of them are former IAS officers. The previous year test series discussion is also available in our YouTube playlist. You can go and view it, right. So, finally, I hope this video was useful. I hope this trend analysis was useful, right. We will see in some other video. Thank you.